Welcome to the California Nevada chat on April 18th. I know a lot of you are have been listening to our pre-webinar conversation, so sorry about that. It's what happens when the technical team is off today and Nikki's in charge. So there we go. My name is Nikki Gatch. I'm the Executive Director of the Southern California PGA, and on behalf of our President, Allison Kurt, as well as our colleagues from the Northern California PGA section, President Nick Bailey and Executive Director Caitlin Doyle, we welcome you to the chat. We have a great lineup today. We have Jay Karen, who is the CEO of the National Golf Course Owners Association, coming to us from Daniel Island, South Carolina. And we also have Jeremy Friedman, Vice President of Public Relations for Outlier Management, who oversees the LPGA event that's in town and many other events. He's coming to us live from the JM Eagle Championship there at El Cab up in LA. So, Caitlin, any opening comments before we get started?
No, thanks, Nikki. It's great to be with you all again for another Friday. So we'll jump right in and hope everyone's doing well. And season is here upon us. So we will jump right in. And thanks for all being here.
Thanks, Caitlin. All right, Jeremy. Well, we appreciate you making some time on a very busy day, round two of the JM Eagle. I know you had some not quite Southern California weather yesterday. I hope it's a little bit better for you today, and certainly going into the weekend.
I'm
Yeah,
I'm
you're bundled
wearing
up, so
I'm
okay.
I'm bundled up. So it's the sun is trying to peek out. It just hasn't quite made it yet. It's
Yeah.
it's a little chilly, but hey,
All right.
it's
Well,
we play in an outdoor sport, and that's what we deal with day in and day out.
yeah, it's probably actually perfect golf weather for
Oh
the
yeah.
for the athletes, but spectators, we get a little spoiled out here. So we've had a great relationship with you and Outlier and the LPGA with all the events in Southern California. We appreciate that. I know we've done some great things with you this year as well. I
Yep.
know maybe you'll touch on that, but just would like to hear from your standpoint, how's it going? I know this is the first year at El Cab, had to move from Wilshire because of course renovations there, but yeah, just kind of take us through what your week looks
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, so Friday round two, it's been a great week so far, and the Phil Lopez and Scott and the crew here at El Cab have been tremendous hosts for us this week. They're super excited to welcome the LPGA Tour back to El Cab. As many of you guys know, they hosted the Office Depot Championship in the early 2000s that Sayri Pak won, and then Annika won twice, including her 50th win in 2004. So El Cap has been great this week. The players, for the majority of the field here, this is the first time they're playing it, and they're loving the course and enjoying everything out here this week. The tournament this year for us is not only the focus of a world-class field. We got 15 of the top 20 players in the world here. We've got world number one Nelly Korda here, and a lot of LA-based players, Lily Vu, Gabby Ruffles, a lot of great local ties. But as you know, as many of y'all know and have been a part of this, this is the especially for Los Angeles County, this is the sole professional golf tournament that's taking place this year due to Genesis moving down to San Diego. So one of the bigger, probably the big focus this week that JM Eagle and Plastro, the title and presenting sponsors, wanted to do is, as they say, is provide a respite for everybody, give a breather for a few days. And some of the things that we're doing here this week. So anyone that was affected by the Eaton and Palisades fires, they're being given complimentary admission for all four rounds this week, them and their families. All first responders, members of the military, firefighters, police, doctors, they're also being given complimentary admission. And we've built on the 10th green, we built a big hospitality structure just for them as a thank you for everything that they're
Yeah,
doing
very cool.
that they're doing here this week. And the LPGA players are they knew coming in that this week that they're playing. I mean, they're playing for a big paycheck, right? They're playing for 3.75 million, which is one of the largest on the LPGA tour, but they're also playing for more than themselves this week. And we've got several players that are doing kind of their own causes. Anna Green, our two-time defending champion, she has pledged $500 for every birdie and 1,000 for every eagle to it's the LA Firemen's Relief Association, which is one of the bigger organizations that's a beneficiary from this week. And the Walter and Shirley Wang, the CEOs of JM Eagle and Plastro. So far they've donated 6.5 million to LA Fire Relief and Recovery, and are continuing to do more. So they want to provide this tournament as just an outlet for everyone in the greater Los Angeles area. And with you guys at Southern California PGA, Nikki, we've had a long relationship with you guys on our LPGA events. We had some great things earlier this week. Bryce was out. Bryce and crew and Danny were out here earlier this week. We did play with the pro earlier this week with LA legend Angel Yin, who is always she is, her personality is awesome, and
Yep.
she wears LA through and through. She sports LA hat. She's a huge Dodgers fan. She's a huge Lakers fan. And she had a ball, and we talked about it with her in her pre-tournament news conference just before she went out. And in addition to talking about the fires, since she's an alum, she's like, I just want to give back. I want to help to give back, and that's what we all want to do. So thank you for the partnership. Thank you for the continued partnership and the support. And hopefully we're going to have the weather's going to be great. We're going to have a great few days.
Yeah, that's awesome. For those that don't know, the Play with a Pro is an initiative that we started quite a few years ago. It started with any of our section members that got exemptions into the tour events, and during one of their practice rounds, we asked if they would allow one of our top junior players to play 9 holes with them and sort of get that inside the ropes experience. And we've been able to continue that, and certainly with the partnership with Outlier and the LPGA, it's been great. I mean, we've had Lizette Solis participate. We've had Rose Zhang participate. This year was Angels. We try to get, one of our alumni who have, grew up playing in our junior tour. And I think Angel played with Isabella Wu, who's one of our top juniors. And I know they had a great time, and to play 9 holes, at an event and get to warm up on the range right next to the players. It's really a special opportunity for our juniors. So thank you for allowing that to happen. I know Angel had some fun. She always does. Isabella, again, it's going to be one of those memories for a lifetime for her. And then one of the cool things we've done, I mean, I know we have a booth there all week, and promoting our foundation efforts. We did a Clubs for Youth donation there, providing equipment for 4 high schools in the local area. So that was great. We had a clinic. I saw in the photos that Stacy Lewis even made an appearance to help us with the clinic. So that was great. And then we're also doing a 50-50 raffle, which I don't know that maybe that's been done before. So, hopefully raise some nice funds, not only for the SCPGA Foundation, but also to give back to fire relief, and specifically to our junior golfers who've been affected. So hope that goes well. I hope we get some more spectators out there over the weekend, and they take advantage 100%. Of that. The pot is growing, I saw. So
yeah. And the 50-50 raffle, that was as we were getting ready for the tournament and kind of talking with you guys about, kind of what else that we can do. And when this idea came up, and I think both of us were like, yes, let's do it. Let's figure it out. Let's, if there's any a year to do something like that to help give back to the community, and to your foundation and to the community, because also, as I know there's several folks on here either have been affected or we know somebody that has been affected, right? Like the fires. Phil Lopez, the GM of the club, was telling me that the fires were 2 miles from here. It was just over the hill. And so, it's kind of like with the partnerships that we have with you guys, it's like anything that we can do to help support something that's bigger than us, right, is something that we definitely want to get behind and help support.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Appreciate the partnership, and wish you all the best for another successful event, and we'll let you go do your thing. And thanks so much for hopping on with us, Jeremy. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Nikki. Good to see everybody virtually, and look forward to seeing several of you guys out here this weekend.
Sounds great. Thanks so much. All right, with that, we'll go to our second guest of the morning this morning, our CEO of the National Golf Course Owners Association, Mr. Jay Karen. Jay, I believe this is your 10th year in that role with the NGCOA. That's awesome. And I know you've been in sort of the golf admin world, executive management for quite a long time. I won't date you, but we'll just leave it at that. But it's great to have you on. I know you've got a lot of updates for us and some insights into, state of our industry. So really appreciate you taking the time to come on, and I'll let you drive the bus now.
Sure thing, and I'll share my screen in a minute. Because I'm not sure once I share my screen if you can see me talking or not. But if so, great. If not,
I think we will be able to. Yep.
Okay, you don't need to see my mug. You need to see my my slides. So no, but thank you both Caitlin and Nikki for having me. I just played my first bona fide round of golf in 4 months. The last one that I played was when I was out in the Monterey area with Caitlin in the Northern Cal section. I got my last round in before I had some pretty major leg surgery. So I'm back in action. And the good news is I won money the first day back. So I'm back in the game, which is great. And Nikki, I also have to share this with you, is that this sits on my desk. This was a speaking gift that I got years ago from Tom Addis when I was out there, the Southern Cal section. I don't know how many years ago that was now, but my gosh, it's been a while. So at least I'm glad to be with everybody virtually from Charleston, South Carolina. So, let me go ahead and start sharing. Let me see. All right, here we go. Share screen, tab. Tell me if this is working. You see it?
Yep, you're good.
Awesome. Wow.
Yep.
Technology. Woo. Okay. So, yeah, it's really an exciting time to be part of a quickly changing industry. And so what I do with my presentations, and forgive me, the Northern Cal folks, if you were at the meeting at Quail, some of this will be familiar. There are a couple of new things since December. That just goes to show you how quickly our industry changes, is that just 4 months later, I've got new content. But what I like to do is say that this is a banquet of golf, and my presentations are food for thought. I never tell business owners and operators how to run their business. That would be a big mistake. But I do hopefully give you food for thought that plays into decisions you can make at your facility, whether it's defensive measures, offensive measures, where to place your bets on areas of your business. So hopefully that the next 45 minutes here you'll be full with the food for thought that I'm going to give you. So let's begin. A little bit about NGCOA. If you don't know us, we do have a California Golf Course Owners Association that some of your facilities may be part of. So if at the end of this 45 minutes, you love what you see here, you love the kind of content that we have, the things that we're talking about, would invite you to join the organization. We're very close to the PGA of America on so many things. So this is not like poaching you guys from the PGA. This is about lifting the industry together. So if you guys are compelled to join the organization, please, reach out, join, go to NGCOA, and you get a membership in the California group as well automatically. So we've got about 4,000 courses across the country, and we do primarily 3 things: advocacy, which I'll talk about briefly, some commercial programs, and education. I'm not going to talk a lot about NGCOA, but there are a couple things I want to put on your radar that are happening, especially on the advocacy side. So we do have National Golf Day coming up in less than 2 weeks in Washington, D.C. I'm not sure if Nikki or Caitlin, if you're coming out for that. Oh, Nikki, I think you are, because you're going on to Charleston from there.
Yes, I'll be there.
Yeah, we're going to have a couple hundred golf industry folks, PGA members, GCSA owners and operators, walking the hill and telling our elected friends the good story of golf and the work that we're doing. And we have some asks. In particular, House Resolution 1583 is getting golf off that dreaded sin list so that we're not discriminated against when it comes to disaster relief programs or even economic stimulus programs for businesses, small businesses in America. We have been left out of these things many times over the past 50 years. So we got a piece of legislation that's gaining steam. One that's interesting to the PGA of America is that we're promoting this law in Congress that would allow Americans to start using their 529 college savings accounts on certifications and licensing. So all those associates out there, even Class A members that are wanting to spend money on further education within the PGA of America towards licensing and certifications, maybe master professional, what have you. If this law passes, you could use 529 savings on this. And we're trying to rebrand this to career savings, not college savings. So this could be good for the golf industry, for superintendents trying to make their way up and get their certifications, as well as PGA professionals. We do dabble in things with H-2B visas, labor, EPA, DOJ, but a couple other things I wanted to make sure we highlight that we just found out 2 days ago, if you didn't see the news, that the Cazenovia Golf Club in New York, which had an unfortunate Eric golf ball situation where someone lost his eye from a ball that was hit from another hole, the golfer sued the golf course, and it went all the way up to the highest court in New York. And we got involved by submitting amicus briefs to the court. We were helping to defend the golf course here. And the good news is the case is over. And the panel of judges at the appellate highest court ruled unanimously in favor of the golf course. So that would have been a dangerous precedent that would have been sent across the country had a golfer successfully sued the golf course for getting hit in the eye with a golf ball. So as unfortunate as that is, we feel for the guy for sure. But, we all know the inherent risks of just about any recreational activity. So that's good news. With the Trump presidency, it's a bit of whiplash, not necessarily knowing what's going to happen with tariffs, increasing costs for maintenance equipment, hard goods, that are manufactured overseas, et cetera. The shoe hasn't dropped and hit America yet as far as business owners paying more for these things, but it's coming, and we need to be prepared for those rising costs. Travel, we're concerned about our allies we're already starting to see stats that Canadians and Mexicans and others that are, regularly come to America for vacations and golf trips, they're curtailing their trips to America. So we don't have data yet for the golf industry and what that might mean, but I know that it's a concern for those that see the Canadian snowbirds, especially, and what that portends. So we'll see. But and the last thing I'll mention about kind of what's happening on the Hill is last week I had the privilege of testifying at the U.S. Senate on behalf of the golf industry and kind of the outdoor industry by proxy on daylight saving time, and whether or not daylight saving time is going to be made permanent or standard time could be made permanent. There's an effort to make that happen. And we had just the privilege and honor of representing the golf industry, and we got some serious coverage on that. I mean, even NGCOA got a mention in Jimmy Kimmel's opening monologue the night of the hearing, because he was reporting on what happened there. And I believe if I was to place a bet, if there will be a permanent change, it would lean towards daylight saving time. The president has spoken out in favor of daylight saving time being made permanent. And there are arguments, pros and cons to both sides, but I think that the arguments are stronger for daylight saving. So we may see sometime this year legislation and a bill on the president's desk to make daylight saving time permanent, which means no more changing of the clocks. So in sunshine in the later afternoons and evenings in the wintertime, instead of the sun setting as early as it does when we change the clocks. So lots going on there on the Hill. You just should know NGCOA and the PGA is very supportive, involved in these things about the work we're doing on the advocacy side. So just want to make sure you knew about the work that we're doing. But really talking about the industry here, I want to give a bit of a look forward. And I shared this, I think, with the Northern Cal folks. It's been 5 years since COVID kind of wreaked havoc on our world, and we didn't know what was going to happen in the golf industry. We were being shut down just like every other business. And obviously, we made significant efforts with the PGA and our allied associations to keep golf open. And not only did we keep golf open, but it began thriving. But I mean, the last 5 years, we've seen so much change, so much demand. I feel like Joanne Carner here. It's like she's my spirit animal. That feels like what I want to do right now. Just taking a break, having a little cigarette, and seeing. It's been a whirlwind of 5 years, and so now we got to take a breath, and now we got to move forward. What's going to be happening in the industry? What's happening right now? I want to touch on a few things, and I typically frame the happenings in the industry around a SWOT analysis. Hopefully you've seen these or done these for your own businesses as well, where you can look at the strengths and weaknesses generally are things that you can change, you're in charge of, your own strengths and weaknesses that you can fix yourselves. Opportunities and threats are the external factors that are happening to us, whether we like it or not. And then we have to determine, how do we turn some of this into opportunities, especially the threats and the weaknesses. So, but a note on the current conditions, the context for a lot of this stuff. I'm not going to go into every single one of these images, but these are the National Golf Foundation's recent stats on the golf industry. And I'll just tell you this. We don't need to belabor this right now. That rounds are up. More people are playing golf than ever before. More people are staying around in the game than ever before. Course closures are down. Revenue is up. Pricing is up. Even course openings is up for the first time in a long time. But most of those openings are high-end private clubs kind of in the middle of nowhere, or short courses are the ones that have been opening lately. And we're going to touch on that in a bit. The indoor golf market has exploded. We've got now 2,300 facilities around America and growing, the simulator-based businesses. I'm sure most of you either see them in your town or nearby town, or you might be involved in some of them yourselves. So overall, from a performance standpoint, every dial right now has been moving in the right direction, is set in the right direction right now. All of our KPIs are a hell of a lot better than they were just 5 years ago. We all kind of feel that. So these are my economic slides. I made these graphs myself, so you can tell how much work went into this. But up until COVID, this was the dynamics of our industry over a 20-year period. The number of golf courses that came into the supply exploded. The demand for golf at the same time contracted. And we found ourselves in an industry recession for a 15-year period, honestly. Once America got out of the Great Recession from 2008, we remained in our own industry recession. And what that caused is that the price of golf went down. Now, the average tee time price might have stayed relatively steady over that time, but the consumer price index indicated everything else in your life went up in price, everything, right? And so relatively speaking, golf became cheaper than ever. And that's maybe a nice thing to those that find it hard to afford golf at all. But for the economy in golf, that's not a good metric, and that's what caused a lot of golf courses to seek help outside their businesses in ways that they might not have otherwise, like with third-party tee time providers, that are trying to help them out, but they're in many cases taking from the economy instead of adding to the golf economy. And so then we saw the COVID, boom, where we saw supply has generally flattened out. Demand, went up like a hockey stick. And finally, the price to play golf went up over a 5-year period of time, and it continues to go up marginally. That's, as painful as that may be to a lot of golfers out there, it was welcomed by the golf course industry. Private clubs generally have an ability to assess your members when you need capital. And by and large, they participate in that, for irrigation projects or a clubhouse expansion or refresh or whatever it might be. Public golf courses have a hard time saving money. And they haven't had access very well to the capital, loan markets to be able to borrow money to do things. So to have cash flow be what it was in this industry the past 5 years and see public golf courses putting money back into their facility, it's a good and necessary thing. Now, what's going to happen in 2025, 2026 and beyond? Not quite sure. But what I want to put out there, the food for thought, the supply line is going to stay relatively flat for a while. We may see a marginal decrease over time. Demand may flatten a little bit. Let's anticipate it flattening because we've seen year over year growth 5 years in a row, basically. So what does that mean for price? And what are you going to do about that? If you are a golf operator and you start seeing demand softening, our history in the golf industry has been to pull the price lever, that giant lever. Let's pull the price lever because if we lower prices, then the customers will keep coming. It's a fear-based decision that they won't come back at our pricing, that we have to do this. And what I want to warn everybody on this is that golf does not subscribe to that old price elasticity of demand. If you remember that from an economics class, price elasticity of demand, basically in a short way of putting it, for luxury items especially, if the price of things dropped considerably, consumers would buy more of it. That's just kind of the general rule. Drop your price, people buy more of luxury items for the most part. Golf doesn't fit that, because even though golf is seen as a bit of a luxury item, discretionary income spending, If a golf course dropped their price by 50% and I'm one of their customers, I'd say, thank you very much for dropping your price by 50%. I still would have played golf, by the way, even if you didn't drop your price. But thank you for doing that. And by the way, I'm not going to play 2 rounds of golf because you dropped it by half. I don't have time. The time factor is what screws with the price elasticity of demand formula. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking, okay, demand is softening. What do I do? And I think there are other levers you can pull that we'll get into here. In fact, very soon. So what I want to be able to do is turn some of these threats and weaknesses that we're going to talk about into opportunities. You can see in this picture, the threatening wave. I see the wave as a big threat here, but you can see the surfer at the top of that wave. He's loving this, right? So he turned this threat into an opportunity. And that's what I'm trying to train course operators and owners to think like, is not just to be forlorn and depressed by the threats and weaknesses in our business. So economic uncertainty is the #1 concern of golf course owners and operators right now. We did our Golf Business Pulse report for 2025. And the first 2 years we did the report, labor was the #1 concern. Finding and keeping good staff was the #1 problem and concern. What overtook that this year is economic uncertainty because of, whatever, changing administrations, stock market tumbling, tariff wars, all of this, the economic uncertainty is real. So you got to think, what are you going to do as a business owner or operator in economic uncertainty? Just going to wring your hands, or are you going to prepare for it? For example, are you making shadow budgets at your business? Like, for example, if the revenue tap turns off by $50,000, what are you going to do about it? $100,000. What are you going to do about it? $250,000. Are you ready, at least prepared in the shadows, to implement changes to reflect that so that you can balance your budget still, right? Are you focused on the high quality of experience like you think you are? We have this saying in the American economy called every person has a third place. It's your first place is home, your second place is work, and your third place is where you generally spend the rest of your time, or your preferred place to spend time. Some people it's the gym, some people it might be church. For me, it's coffee shops. I love going to every local mom and pop coffee shop. I just love the vibe. I can work. I like tasting things from around the country. Even here on Daniel Island, there's one coffee shop I go to 7 mornings a week if I'm in town all week, right? And everybody knows me there. I love it. Are you the third place for your customer base? If not, how do you become that? That is the hedge against economic uncertainty. Because even if a recession hits, guys, I'm still going to that same coffee shop every single morning. It's my emotional place I love to be at. You need to focus on the things in your business that make you the third place so that you can have that hedge against economic uncertainty. It's a big deal. And hopefully you've learned a little lesson about pulling that price lever as the first thing you do if things start tumbling. If you're not using dynamic pricing right now, I would advise that as well, because you can set floors in dynamic pricing so that the price doesn't go below something, and then let you benefit from the upside as the pricing changes. And a lot of golf courses have been doing this now over the past several years, but it is a good tool to be used. It's like a scalpel instead of a chainsaw to your business if pricing changes have to happen. So consider that. Government is our friend, but it still can be seen as a threat because they see golf as a target. Oftentimes, we're a land-rich business. So how can they tax us more? What can they do as far as environmental controls, everything? But we've been telling the story of golf in Washington for 10, 15 years now, and it's changing. I know you guys have a California Alliance for Golf, which is awesome, with Craig Kessler at the helm. So I know you guys do good work in California and in Nevada. I know there's a Nevada Golf Alliance as well, I believe. But I got to tell you a story, because from the beginning of We Are Golf, which was our construct to go to Washington, D.C. and tell golf stories so that we can influence policies and legislation, it used to be 15 straight years, we're just telling golf story and getting Congress conditioned to understand that we're a good, positive industry. Now, fast forward to 2025, and we have members of Congress that are championing us. We have a golf caucus now with, I think, nearly 200 members of Congress in our golf caucus. And so we are a friend, and they look at us and they welcome the invitations. In fact, on the daylight saving time bill, this is a great example. I can distill everything down to this. One of my senators is Lindsey Graham. And so Rick Scott, senator in Florida, is asking Lindsey Graham to get on board with the Sunshine Protection Act, which is the daylight saving bill, to try to make it permanent. Lindsey Graham's staff calls me to ask me, Jay, what do you think about the bill? What do you think we should do? That is a 180-degree turn. Instead of going to Lindsey telling him what we think he should do, he's asking us. This is symbolic of the sea change that golf has had in the halls of Congress, and it can definitely happen at the state level as well, with intentionality and being there every year and telling the good story of golf. So it's exciting. So you can turn that threat into an opportunity for sure. A couple other things that I want to touch on here, as far as I see these as threats / weaknesses. The workplace. We focus a lot in the golf industry on the funnel. Do we have associates coming through the PGM programs and through the programs to become PGA professionals? Do we have the turf management programs, filled up with people wanting to be superintendents? The funnel. What we don't focus a lot on in our industry, and I think we need to turn our attentions to, is the workplace itself. Is the golf course of 2025 an ideal place to work compared to the rest of the workforce, right? And I think there's some work to be done here, because I think it's still in the DNA of golf that we rest on the laurels of, well, they must, people love golf and they want to be around golf. And so, maybe we get away with a little bit lower pay or longer hours or whatever because of the love for golf. And I don't think that's necessarily fair it's not going to make us competitive when you look at what we're competing against, the restaurant industry, hotel industry, any other industry for that matter, right? So how do we make the golf course the ideal workplace? And I think we need to study this together. Maybe, Nikki and Caitlin, we can lean on Don Ray to do a joint study on, or joint project on creating the blueprints for the best workplaces in golf, no matter what budget you have. I don't care if you're a $500,000 budget public 9-hole golf course, or if you're a $25 million club. What are the blueprints for ideal, positive, healthy workplaces? I think that's a worthy pursuit for us to talk about. But to those of you listening, to ask yourselves, am I an exceptional place to work? Am I running a place that is an exceptional place to work? And what does that mean today? Are people getting the time off that they need? Do they feel valued? Do they feel heard? Are they part of decision making? Or are they told what happens? These kinds of things. So I don't have a lot of time to get into it today, but that could be its own presentation. I say a threat to golf is consumer expectations, meaning we carry with us our expectations everywhere we go. And in today's day and age, the Amazon priming of the world, the door dashing of the world, the Instacarting of the world, you name it, we have instant gratification and we like it. And then you step onto a golf course and you lose a lot of the ability to enjoy that kind of customer experience. Case in point, for the most part, you tee off, and by the time you get to hole 3 or 4, you're thirsty. Yeah, I'd love to get some beers. I didn't grab any before we left. You probably have no idea when you're going to see the beverage cart. No idea. With today's technology, and there is an app called Grubhub and some others, I think, or Clubhub? Clubhub. Grubhub is the delivery service. I think it's Clubhub. It's a service to allow you to order food and beverage, have it delivered to you wherever you are on the golf course. We need to try those things. Whatever it is, self check-in for the experienced golfers that don't need to wait in line at the counter. They already paid. Is there a self check-in where is there a QR code on the tee time reservation? They can just go and show and hit the range. We have to figure out ways to integrate elegant self-service where you experience it in other places. And I think that'll help. That's the new definition of good service for a lot of people. And it could free up the staff to do other things besides answering phones and, talking to Joe, who's been waiting in line 10 minutes to try to check in for his tee time. So food for thought. Also, I'd say it's a threat, but it's also can be capitalized as an opportunity. The workforce flexibility, the work from home movement. So many Americans now get to work from home or from shared workspace or whatever. And the work hours are flexible, more flexible than they used to be. And, the Financial Times wrote about this a while back, but there's an opportunity there for golf. On the employment side, it's hard to compete with work from home. If we're trying to get people to work for the golf course, you kind of have to show up for most roles. There are some roles, though, that you could probably allow people to work from home. Marketing, sales, revenue management, whatever it might be. They might not have to be at the golf course to do that kind of work. but by and large, you got to show up. So it's a bit of a threat to us because we can't necessarily match that, but it's an opening for golfers to play more golf during the day. And that used to never happen. The tee sheets were just empty in the afternoons on Tuesdays or whatever it might be. More and more workers can fit that 9 holes in. So what are you doing in your local market to attract them? We've always put 9-hole rounds, if you're an 18-hole facility, kind of in the background. You're thinking you're leaving money on the table. I only want to sell 18-hole rounds because it's more revenue per unit. I get that. But people want shorter experiences. It's lining up with work from home. So bring the 9-hole round out. You don't have to charge 50% of an 18-hole round. You can charge a little bit more if you want. And go for it. Advertise it, market it, and get more people playing those 9-hole rounds, right? Because then they're going to want to also buy the 18-hole rounds if they get a piece of the piece of the experience. All right, let's moving on. Parks and Recreation disconnect. What I would love to see, I'm going to shortchange this one or shortcut this one. What I'd love to see, and let's use California as an example. And let's use the city of Sacramento. I bet Sacramento has a very robust Parks and Rec division. I bet it's seriously robust. Whether they have a golf course or not doesn't matter. And I bet there are probably maybe 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7 golf courses in the Sacramento area that have legitimate adult and junior programs. And I will bet, again, that anybody who finds out about those programs are somehow attached to the golf course, and you're in their database. But the average citizen in the Sacramento area probably has no idea about those programs because they bring their kids to the Parks and Rec division to sign up for baseball, basketball, football, soccer, lacrosse, you name it. Golf, by and large, is either not found there in that same space where you're signing your kid up for team sports. And as you all know, PGA Junior League is an awesome team sport. What I want to happen, and I think you guys have the ability to do this, is knock on the door of the Parks and Rec division in your area, create a partnership with them, bring the Junior League sign-up process to them. If they got to get $5 for every registrant, so be it. That's where the parents go to find out, where am I going to sign my kids up for sports? We are expecting people to come to us instead, and I think that's a fatal flaw. So the Junior League program, which has like 70-something thousand kids in it, I bet it could blow up to 500,000 kids in a matter of 5 years if the Parks and Recreation divisions around America had partnerships with the golf courses to be the admissions offices for these programs. I'd love to see some of you test that out, but right now it's a big weakness in our ecosystem of golf that we're not connected well to the Parks and Rec divisions. Whether they have golf courses or not, Parks and Rec divisions have become activity centers. You might have karate classes that you can sign up for through Parks and Rec, but the local dojo is the one that's delivering on it, right? So check that out. I tell you, that's the series opening staring us in the face that nobody seems to be doing anything about. And I would love to see some of you do that and report back to us what you find. Demographics in golf, still one of our weaknesses. And I call it a weakness because golf does not yet look like America, and golf should look like America. That's our aspiration. So right now it's considered a weakness because the number of females, the number of people of color and others, it doesn't match the demographics in the United States quite yet. And there are some, there are a couple of ways of looking at this. You can look at it in a passionate way or a dispassionate way. And I don't care where you fall in the DEI movement and anti-DEI movement. This is really not about that. This is about expanding the game, because people that look at the DEI argument often look at it as a zero-sum game, meaning if we have to make room for others that don't look like us, that usually means someone has to leave the table, or someone's losing out here. And that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about expanding the game. More players, more people working in the industry that look like America. I think it's a worthy aspirational goal that will keep us relevant for decades, culturally relevant for decades. Nobody loses in that scenario. And the picture on the right I wanted to share with you guys is a picture that I took at Brattleboro Country Club in Brattleboro, Vermont last year. It may be the first time, at least in memory, that I ever saw a picture in a golf shop of women playing golf, right? And I can't remember who's in that picture. It looks like maybe, I don't know if Peggy Kirk Bell might be in that picture or some others. And it's like, wow, the PGA of America has a resource that you can actually use. It's basically an audit to look at your operations through the lens of women and people of color and others, just looking at your business. Literally, what are you putting on your walls says a lot about who you're welcoming. And no surprise, Brattleboro Country Club is owned by a woman, right? So it wasn't a shocker to see a picture of women golfers on a course wall, a pro shop wall owned by course by women. So my message here is find photos of Charlie Sifford and put those on your walls. Find photos of, Patty Berg and some others. Put those on your walls, because what you put out there culturally means a lot. And these are simple things you can do, and show that you're welcoming to everybody. So start there. That's a great place for people to start, is just by looking at what you have on your walls. So to me, there's still a great opportunity here. One of our biggest weaknesses, sorry to tell you this, PGA professionals, maybe some LPGA professionals watching, one of the biggest weaknesses in our industry is that 80% of golfers don't take lessons. 81% did not take a lesson last year. And I'm not saying that's your fault. I'm just saying it's a weakness in our industry right now, because we know through research that those that take lessons engage with their courses and clubs a hell of a lot more, and they spend a lot more money. 73% of those that take lessons report spending more money at their courses. But here's some of the problems that we see in some of the stats. And this is according to the NGF, that 8% of teaching professionals, 8% follow up with their students after the lesson. You may say, oh, that's not me. I can attest to that. When I saw that, I was like, that's shocking, but it's not a surprise. That happens with me. That happens with my wife. Anytime we take lessons with some great PGA professionals in our club, we never hear again from them unless we reach out to them again. Total shame. And I think 40-something% of golf courses report getting the data into their database of the people taking lessons at their facility. Another shortcoming. If we shore this up and we do the things that Will Robbins has been preaching out there in the PGA community about getting the golf professional out from behind the counter and out there with the golfers, it'll change the world. It'll yield more for our facilities than any dynamic pricing on the tee sheet could. My wife right there, she's taking a lesson on the golf course with none other than Charlie Reimer at his facility at Macklemore in North Georgia. And that's the way to do it, folks. Get your pay your golf professional a little bit of money, take them out with a twosome or a threesome, get on the course with them. Man, I'm telling you, we have to do more of this, and I'm on board. Whatever Don Ray and Will Robbins are preaching about this stuff, I'm on board with it, and I'm preaching it to owners and operators as well. Okay, the environment is a threat to us. When you see the charts on the right, you'll see that precipitation has been rising considerably over the past 100 years in some areas, and we've been getting into more drought territories in other areas of the country. We're basically seeing extremism in weather over time. The annual temperatures have been on the rise for 200 years in America. We're an outdoor business. California knows this very well, more than any other state, about how weather dependent we are. And when things go wrong, they go terribly wrong. So we need to obviously be a friend to the environment. There's so much more work we can do here as a golf industry. We kind of leave it up to the GCSAA and the USGA oftentimes to carry the water on this, so to speak. We need to lock arms with them and tell the good story of golf's contributions to the environment. And we are net positive. I take stealing a page from the playbook of the hunting industry. The hunting industry says we're conservationists. And you can stop and think about that for a second, and you can get some cognitive dissonance if you think too hard. Wait a minute, hunters that kill animals are conservationists? How is that? Well, to the hunter community, they understand population control and supporting species and all that kind of stuff. But to the layman, it's like, what? Okay, maybe. Well, we need to kind of grab the mantle of environmentalism in golf. The environmentalists are usually, I mean, if you look at it as a caricature, the environmentalists historically been the crazy liberal Greenpeace folks that protest in the environment. If we grab environmentalism, that we are the environmentalists, that changes the narrative, that golf is the champion here, and we're not going to be on the defense. We have a lot of work to do here, but I think the PGA and NGCOA in particular need to lock arms with GCSA and USGA on this. Here's a bit of a threat as well, or I call it a threat. Remains to be seen. When we look at the course supply over the past 20 years, we can see that the daily fee golf course, the privately owned daily fee course, the local place where it costs $30 to play if you will. That's the endangered species here. It's that supply has shrunk by 17%, and it's the low-hanging fruit to continue to decline because, as my friend Joe Bedditz, the NGF, used to say, the dirt is worth more than the grass, meaning a public golf course may be worth $3 million as a golf course, but it might be worth $20 million to a home builder. And what are you going to do if you're the family that owns that golf course, or the LLC of guys that built this course 17 years ago? You're probably going to sell, right? And where else can you find 200 acres of land in the suburbs or pretty close to population centers other than golf courses? So I think that trend, while it's slowed down because the business has been so good lately, I think that trend's going to continue. And nobody's building daily fee courses anymore. When you heard me at the outset, I said the courses being built are very high-end private clubs in the middle of nowhere, because that's the only place you can find 300 acres of land to build these expansive private clubs, or very short courses, which are great, but people aren't going to want to have their entire golf experience at short courses for the rest of their life, right? But they're great additions to the supply for sure. So you see that happening. Daily fee courses are still on the slide. Even private clubs have decreased over time as well, but not to the same extent. And the municipal sector has been on the rise, not because they've been building facilities necessarily, but they've been gobbling up some of the ones that have been looking to go under, looking to redevelop, because they want to expand their green space footprint in their communities. So if you carry these same exact trend lines out, if these trends continue as they are, take it out 50 years, 80 years, what does the supply of golf look like in America? Where is it going to be affordable to play green grass golf? It's a legitimate question. That's why NGCOA, we're placing our bets on the municipal sector, because it's still in their DNA to try to keep prices reasonable for their citizens, since it's an asset of the city, or the town, or the county. It's in there, like I said, in their DNA to try to keep it affordable. And daily fee courses are not being built, and they close down. Private clubs will do their thing. So, there's a concern out there about affordability at green grass places. Maybe the short courses will be the new place to play the game, for a good while. So let me skip over to this. I'm going to come back in a second. But what I wanted to tie to this is the golf entertainment sector. In that, we have 2,300 facilities now in America, these simulator locations. Carry this trend out 25, 30, 40, 50 years. We've got 2,300 simulator joints now. Top tracer range facilities, top golfs, you name it. If that continues to rise sharply over the next generation, what is the mix going to look like? Where are people going to play their golf in America? Is it going to look like South Korea one day, where in there they've got 500 green grass facilities, which are very hard to access, but they've got 5,000 what they call golf cafes? Some pretty legitimate questions here. So, I'm not saying there's anything for you to do about that, except just be mindful that this is all happening. Where are you going to place your bets? Who are you going to embrace? Who are we going to help? The privately owned daily fee sector used to have a lot of fights with the municipal sector because they felt they had tax advantages and other things. Well, those fights are kind of in the rear view these days, because we have to work together to make sure that we're meeting the demand for golf. So moving on, some other problems and I call them unknowns that I don't know if they're opportunities yet, but the tee time ecosystem right now has been changing considerably. Yes, we mentioned dynamic pricing, right? The software is out there for the industry to embrace, but we're also seeing right now is government getting involved, and they call it predictive pricing, not dynamic pricing. And there are 14 states now that have laws trying to be passed that would curb the use of dynamic pricing, because the consumers of the world, consumer protection agencies, even Consumer Reports magazine has written about this, feel or believe that the dynamic pricing software, which pulls data in from multiple courses, increases prices. So the facilities participating in this are not colluding on purpose to raise prices, but the data and the algorithms and their participation, even though they're unwitting participants, are they unwitting participants in the rising of prices? Or are they colluding through software, even if they're not doing it actively? The consumers are having a big problem with this because they don't like that golf could cost $150 at 10:08, and then 10:18 it might be $185. That's not right, the consumers may say. So interesting to see where this goes. A few other things happening in the tee time system, tee time space that you should know about. So we're calling it the stub hubbing of tee times. There are at least 3 platforms right now that are trying to get involved in the remarketing, reselling of tee times, like StubHub does for tickets, for concerts, etc. That if you're a golf course, you got your tee sheet up there. That they, in some cases, they work with the owners. In some cases, they're not working with the owners of the golf courses, and they're getting these tee times. They might be getting tee times that you don't require a deposit for, and they're trying to resell them on their platform for a profit. I mean, this is a matter of time before this came to golf. It's here now. And NGCOA is kind of leaning in and getting involved right now to make sure that there are healthy practices to these systems. So stay tuned on what's coming on that one. We now have waitlist technology and notifying others that are helping golf courses. We still have a significant no-show problem that we're trying to fix, and I think we got some solutions to help fix the no-show problems of golf. By the way, one way to do that is to charge a deposit for the tee times, or charge for the tee times. That'll take away some of the no-shows. Chargebacks. We're seeing more stories about these interesting chargeback situations where golfers will come and play, and then someone reaches out to the credit card company and disputes the charge for the golf. And 9 times out of the 10, the dispute goes to the golfer. The credit card company hardly doesn't even reach out to the business owner to hear their side of the story. This has been on the rise, actually. So we're concerned about this. So NGCOA is going to be getting involved to find out what's going on here and how do we prevent more chargebacks from happening. And then you got like artificial intelligence that's now entered the room in tee time space. We got 2 platforms right now that are call attendants for golf courses, so that, you know, Judy from Time Life that used to answer the phone for Time Life magazine, Judy, the AI assistant, is answering the phone for your golf course and going through the process, helping you make a tee time. It's out there now, folks. So we're watching and trying to make sure there are healthy practices here. So if there is an AI tee time bot taking your reservations, the good question to ask is, are they booking directly on your software so that you're getting a direct booking? Or is this like a partnership with a Golf Now or some other party that they're getting the booking for you and not sharing the data, right? We're obviously a big proponent of direct booking in the golf space. All right, some strengths and opportunities to talk about. I love this picture of RFK because, you know, it's a little symbolic of the golf industry. Kind of an old body, but we're young again. You know, that's what's happening in golf. So I'll roll through a few things before kind of closing it out, maybe for a couple questions if we've got time. We have an influx of technology in our industry that we need to embrace, and not just embrace, but just try, beta test, guinea pig yourself, try some technology, you know, that you can afford maybe for a year or a season or whatever. If you love it, stick with it. If it didn't work, give it up, right? I know that seems to be asking a lot, but like these systems about, you know, Club Hub and getting food delivered out on the golf course to your golfers, test it out, give it a shot. Autonomous mowers. Some of these manufacturers are still looking for beta facilities to give it a shot. They're kind of expensive from what I understand, but the savings in labor may be worth it. Try this stuff out. Very bullish about technology in our space. Even in the golf entertainment stuff, to bring simulators under your business, to put top tracer ranges out on your driving range, I mean, it's an opening for 6-figure revenue for your facility. Give it a shot. Try the new technology that's happening in our industry. A word about artificial intelligence. I mentioned to you, you know, we're seeing its entry into the golf space in the tee time booking call attendant only right now. Kind of remains to be seen what else is going to happen here on the AI side. Right? I mean, right now we're in what I call the cute phase of AI. It feels like 1995 over again when the internet was so cute. Hey, look at this thing you can build. It's called a web page. Oh, isn't that cute? Isn't that awesome? Little did we know in 1995 how that was going to completely change the universe. Today, fast forward to 2025, 30 years later, we have an inkling how AI is going to change our world. So we need to kind of get ahead of it, try to embrace it, try to figure out how is this going to work for us in the golf space. So I think there's some movement here where, again, whether it's PGA and NGCOA together, figuring out what are the good things, you know, kind of the wheat from the shaft to try to figure out what's the good stuff from AI that we need to keep and make happen, and what is the stuff that we need to avoid. We need to have those conversations because right now, industry leadership, we're not having the conversations together on AI. We need to do that. These are some screenshots of Google and these new book online buttons that have showed up at public golf courses around America. Google has entered the room, folks, in the tee time space in a big way. It's the 800-pound gorilla, and I welcome their entry. We just got to make sure that the 800-pound gorilla knows how to play gently with the golf industry. So we are in touch all the time with the Google staff that have made this happen, these book online buttons. If you're a public golf course, you need to check your Google page to see if you've got the book online button. You need to ask yourself, is it going to a third party like Golf Now or Supreme or whatever? Or is it going directly to my tee sheet? I'm going to encourage you here now, get it go to your direct tee sheet. Work with your golf management software company to get this programmed and on your Google profile. You want the direct traffic. You earned your place on Google, so anything that comes from Google should be direct traffic to you. Make sure that's happening. And then lastly, I'll focus on kind of a cultural thing happening in golf, right? As my friend Seth Waugh would say, former PGA CEO, in his cool way, golf is pretty cool. You know, golf is cool. It's like, well, golf has always been cool, but to a small population. It's getting cool, and it is cool for a much wider population. And why is that? It's because of these things. It's because of social media, YouTube stars, TikTok, Top Golf. Let us be looser with the vibe of golf. All of these things have made golf really cool. But instead of being elitist and cool, it's now aspirational and accessible cool, not just elitist. Really big sea change. And I'm kind of asking, what are we doing about that as a golf industry? The NGF has this. They basically have stats that show that non-golfers out there, the words they use to describe golf for the first time ever are in the favorable category, that it's cool, it's neat, it's fun. And the unfavorable words like boring, slow, elitist, whatever, has been shrinking. It has caused a few problems because all these new people coming to the golf course don't know what the hell they're doing. And so it's going to take a PGA professional to make sure that they're onboarding correctly. But I think what should we be doing about this? I'm going to give you an example. You know, like, I don't know, sometime last year, the Bryan brothers, big YouTube golf stars, did something where they sunk a 174-yard putt. Right. And it made it like, you know, millions of views on YouTube and TikTok, whatever, within 24 hours, millions of views. What every smart golf course operator should have done within 24, 48 hours is stage your own competition at your golf course. Hey, everybody, you know, come on out for, you know, $20, bring $20 cash, $5 is going to charity, $15 is going to this, or, you know, $10 going to this, $5 into the pot. We're going to do a 175-yard putting competition. You get 4 tries. Come on out. We're going to do it tomorrow in the 17th hole. That's meeting the moment. As a golf course operator, PGA professional, how are you meeting the moment right now? Are you carrying the stuff in your pro shop that the kids are loving? Or are you sticking with just the stuff from, you know, the brands that we've had for 30 years? You can have all of the above. Mix it up. We have to meet the moment. And you know, the one thing that we have working for us, everybody, is we've got shot euphoria. That's that feeling, as professionals, you know this, the feeling that you cannot duplicate when you hit that drive so cleanly, or that crisp iron and the ball goes where you wanted it to go. That's the feeling that we're always chasing. It's called shot euphoria. We chase it for the rest of our lives, right? It's golf's drug. So in all of this, to cut through, what we need to do is get people to shot euphoria as quickly as possible in this industry. And you guys have the keys to do that as PGA professionals. So we're leaning on you folks. We want to work with you to make this happen. So I'll end with that. And that's my wife. I never thought I'd see this, guys. That's my wife. We were down in Puerto Rico for a conference, teeing it up on a golf course. For 20 years, she said, no, not interested, not interested. And just a few years ago, she got the golf bug, and she's got the shot euphoria drug now pumping in her system. So anyway, guys, I'll stop there, and I'll stop sharing my screen, and happy to take any questions that there may be if we've got time.
Wow, well, thank you, Jay. That was amazing, as usual. You're such an engaging, great speaker, so we're lucky to have you today. I wrote one thing down that I just loved what you said. You said the third place for your customer base. That's such a good thought. So hopefully people took some good notes today. I think we might have time just for one question. I saw that Daryl Ficano had a hand up, so maybe let's go to him real quick, and then we'll close out.
Caitlin, sorry, just hit it by accident.
Oh, okay. Dang it.
He just volunteered for something. He's put his hand up. He's
Maybe he was giving you a high five, not raising his hand. That's what it was.
That's awesome. Cool. Okay. Well, and I guess if we have no more questions, right? We're at 11:01, so I think we'll close out. If anyone else has any other questions that do pop up after this, we can definitely share Jay's contact, and I'm sure he'd be happy to answer those questions for us. So,
By all means.
once again, just kind of housekeeping items. If you called in today and you're on your phone, you will need to report back to your section office because we can't see your name for your PDR credits. Otherwise, we will get those PDR credits posted. And then just a quick save the date for our next call is May 9th. And we're actually going to have Don Ray, our PGA of America president, on the call right before the PGA championship. So it'll be pretty insightful and energetic, I'm sure. And we'll definitely see you there. I'll toss it over to Nikki to see if you have any more closing comments before we head out.
Yeah, just a great session, Jay. Thanks so much. So insightful. I know you've been up to the Northern California section to speak at a meeting there. We'll see what we can do to bring you down here to Southern Cal to share your great wisdom. Appreciate it. Can't wait for you to have comma PGA after your name. So let's push you through this program. I think it's awesome that you're going through the program and have aspirations to join the Cool Kids Club. I think it's
Right.
amazing. Someone, you know, at your stature and what you do for the association and the industry, I think it'll be awesome. So here to help in any way as you get through your portfolio there.
I'll give you a login to my education portal. Maybe you can knock out a few things for
we
me.
we can do some trade here. But yeah, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it. Caitlin mentioned May 9th. We'll see you then. Everyone have a wonderful and happy Easter weekend with your family and friends, and hope that includes some golf. So thanks so much. We'll see you again soon.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Take care.